Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today in this video, we're going to look at my tetraspis C1. This is a species, and this is the third time that this particular orchid is flowering for me this year. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this type of orchid or this particular orchid, it's a species, it's a sequential bloomer, the flowers are fragrant, and the different color combination, it should be all different every single time. This orchid is currently potted in semi-hydro setup, and the media that I use is I think about 1-to-1 ratio of hydrocorn and manto clay, and the manto clay is the smaller pebbles that you see here. And the roots are doing really well. It's growing into the media further into the cup, and I think there are 2 roots that are already reaching or almost reaching the reservoir, so it's perfect. I think this orchid is really liking the semi-hydro setup. This orchid this year grew more on its spikes than its leaves, and as you can see, this is the only leaf that it's actually trying to push out this year so far, and we're already toward the end of the year. So, but let's take a look at its 2 previous flowering. So in March, I had some flowers from this orchid. There were 5 or 6, and then in September, early fall this year, it also bloomed once again. So it's actually pretty good considering it's just one orchid. And the reason I'm saying that it's one orchid is that I've had a couple people asking me how many tetraspis C1 do I have, and the answer is I only have one, this one. But because it's a sequential bloomer and it's a more mature plant, so it has given me 3 flower cycles this year. I'm still trying to figure out if there is any difference between speciosa and tetraspis. Nobody seems to know. It's a orchid mystery, I guess, or but either way, it's just very beautiful and interesting. I remember when I first learned about species Phalaenopsis, this was one of the first ones that I really wanted to get, because I was just so fascinated by the fact that each time the petals and sepals colors could be so different. And I think this particular flower cycle, it can demonstrate that characteristics very, very well. Because this time, the first bloom that opened has 4 red petal sepals, and then the bottom right corner is the white one, pure white one. But then, if you look at the other flower later in the video, or at the beginning of the video, if you have already noticed, it's the complete opposite. It has 4 white petal sepals, and then the bottom right sepal is the only red sepal of the second flower. So it's just pretty amazing. And another thing I love about this orchid is that the flower lip is always very fuzzy, and I love that about tetraspis flowers. I just wish that this orchid is more fragrant than it is or has been, because the fragrance is there, but it's very mild. I usually have to be pretty close to the flowers in order to really smell the fragrance. And then also, there are many theories on why certain, this particular orchid would bloom in all red or all white, or more red versus more white petals and sepals. Some people think that it's temperature, some people think it's sunlight or nutrients. What do you think? I actually don't really know, and I've read many different articles, and different people seem to have different opinions. So if you have any direct experience with your Speciosa or tetraspis that you think is the direct correlation to its color distribution, definitely share. Let us know what your experience is. To me, I tend to agree more with the temperature factor, but I could be totally wrong. So hey, let us know what you think, or what kind of experience you have with your own orchid. And finally, for Tetraspis C1, I have seen the blue or purple and white combination, and then I've also seen the brown or light brown, the coffee color with white combination. But then the red and white is obviously the most common and most popular, or most common variety out there. So this is the video for you, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. I took quite a few photos because I just cannot take my eyes away from its bloom at the time. And by the way, you might have noticed that there are some burnt spots on some of these older spikes, or the older section of the spikes, and that's my fault, because I think at one point I had my grow light a little bit too close to the spikes, because I actually elevated the spikes, and I think it was just a little too close to the light, so that they sort of got a little bit sunburned. But thankfully it didn't actually impact the vigor of this orchid, or the growth of the spikes. So they're still elongating, so thankfully it's okay. But I have removed the grow light so that it's further away from this orchid, so all is well. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!